Dear Wizard and Web3 community, welcome to our very first YouTube video series, where I will be presenting you exceptional people in Web3, and of course, Alexandra Overgaag is one of them. Welcome to my show, Alexandra. You can speak about yourself, present yourself, and your startup called Thrilled Labs.
Absolutely. Well, I'm absolutely, first of all, honored to be your first guest, Afina. And very, very happy to be here and curious to also learn a bit more about your background and all the questions you might or might not have. And of course, also honored to be called an influential person. I'm not sure if I am, but we try at least to create an influential footprint in the space, at least.
Yes. Absolutely. Alexandra was presenting also a session on Frankfurt School of Finance and Management DLT program. That's where I met Alexandra initially, and I was very inspired by her energy, by her will to create something purposeful in Web3. And as you know, in the blockchain industry, we really lack female founders nowadays. And I think women empowerment should begin in Web3. So Alexandra, the stage is yours. Please do tell me more about me, and our community members would like to learn about how did you come up with an idea of, first of all, picking Web3 as your startup industry, and second of all, why Thrilled Labs, and what is it about?
Of course, yeah. First of all, indeed, what you said about female empowerment, right? It's indeed true. I think we're both members of the same community, and maybe some of the viewers as well. DLT Talents, created by the Frankfurt School Blockchain Center. I'm a mentor to that program nowadays, but I started there actually a couple of years ago as a participant, very much like yourself. I decided a few years ago that I wanted to work in the Web3 industry, very much actually because of idealistic kind of reasons. My own background, I am these days a little bit older, so to say. I'm over 30, but a couple of years ago, I studied really a lot. I wanted to become a lawyer, maybe a politician. So I've obtained 3 degrees, actually, 3 university degrees. I think so. I mean, also a lot of study depth, I should say, in political science and law. And fundamentally, what I over time realized is that I actually didn't want to join what I call now the legacy institutions, right? There are so many, maybe we get to that point later on, but there are so many challenges and issues in today's world that are very much also caused by how today's institutions are working, whether they be financial, legal, or indeed political. And over time, I studied crypto, blockchain, and Web3 more and more. And I thought, wow, this is really a disruptive kind of industry. And it's so rapidly evolving. All the new companies, all the new projects, all the new applications, right, that are being developed and that are coming together, really not only financial, but also impacting individuals and society. So I thought, why should I not join that very industry, actually, instead of these legacy institutions? Hence, I tried to join that space. I wasn't 100% sure how, actually, just because I didn't know anyone who was like really working in the space a couple of years ago. So I joined DLT Talents, indeed, where we met. Started to know more people. They really also taught me in that program to put yourself out there. So I landed a job at a blockchain company, started to work there fundamentally on the business side of things. Wasn't sure at all if I could even do that very job, but I just did it, hoping that everything was working out fine. It worked out great, but a couple of things came together in my private life. And next to that, I also observed, and that is maybe the last thing that I will end this monologue with. I observed that there are a lot of problems on the business side in Web3, how we're finding each other, the time that is needed to create deals, to indeed find jobs, find partnerships, find investments. The whole event industry in the Web3 space is even a different discourse, where I think we can really improve how we again find each other and how we are collaborating online and offline. And that's actually what then over time started to grow in my mind. And I thought, can we not create a solution for this? Because there's so many innovative and clever people out there who are building, who are financing, who are contributing to the Web3 space. And I thought it's actually quite a shame that we don't have a proper platform or solution for that is fully inclusive as well. So
Indeed.
yeah, that's kind of where Thrilled came from. I thought maybe we can create a solution that is inclusive and empowering in the business space.
Amazing. This is awesome to hear. Does Thrill Labs currently have a community? Maybe it may be an online, let's say, group, or maybe it's an offline gathering somewhere, quarterly or maybe annually. Do you have, let's say, the fans of the startup and this idea initially brought by you to this Web3 world?
I would argue that Thrilled itself, so all the people who have downloaded the app and who are using it in maybe on a daily or on a weekly or even on an occasional basis, right, are actually forming the community together. So it's not that you can find all the community members necessarily in one place. I know, of course, this is super common in the Web3 space, but our really aim is to let professionals find each other in a tailored manner. So whilst communities allow everyone to really find everyone, that is great. But for business purposes, I don't think that is optimal. So hence the idea to create almost like a Tinder, but then for Web3 synergies, right? You say who you are, who you want to meet. You have an opportunity to present yourself or your company, depending on the user and your needs. Maybe you're a freelancer, maybe you're representing your own marketing agency in the Web3 space, whatever it is. And you can find other community members actually on Thrilled, rather than that we have one place or one gathering per se. Having said that, I'm going to organize also events soon on the ground. And of course, we're partnering up with events just because Thrilled also function as an event networking app due to its very nature. But again, that's a different story. And it's the last thing here I will say is that we're really, we want to welcome everyone globally who is already professionally involved with Web3 or who is about to become professionally involved, maybe because you're looking for a job or an internship in this space. However, in whatever means, from devs to product people to designers, whoever you are, and everyone is welcome. So we try to be as inclusive as possible by being free and open access.
Great. I think it's a great purpose because diversity and inclusion is like one of the important let's say, not to say issues, but challenges that we should overcome with Web3 technologies and Web3 communities. And I think they are really working towards that because in Web3, there are more opportunities, I guess, as much as I see. And by the way, talking about opportunities, I see pretty much on LinkedIn that you get new partnerships every day. Maybe you could talk more about partnerships and also about teamwork. Like, are you, how many people are you in the team? How did you kind of build this idea into a startup? And maybe a little bit of a sneak peek into your founder life. Like, how do you manage Thrilled Labs on your own or with your team? Yeah.
That's a lovely question. I think it's indeed quite important to be, you don't always have to show too much personal information, I believe, on the socials, although we have to admit that, of course, and it's normal, people want to see a little bit more about the people who are actually building tech solutions, right? But it's always very, very interesting to hear a bit more, I think, about who are building something and why, fundamentally. And so just to start with, the question about partnerships, I think fundamentally that there is way too less information generally online about the importance of partnerships in this space. I think everyone who works on the business side in Web3 knows that, good collaborations, partnerships in this space are absolutely vital. But unfortunately, a lot of partnerships are only based on co-marketing. Right? I tweet this, you tweet that, and we call that a collaboration. But in the end, nothing really comes out of it or nothing else substantial really happens. And those kind of partnerships is not what I'm after, fundamentally. Another thing, just to make clear what we're also not doing is at this point, referrals and commissions. So we also, of course, see a lot of you know, you are sharing this discount code, or you're sharing a link to tickets to this event, and then you get 5% out of any sales, and we call that a partnership. Well, also that, I don't think that that is really in line with the spirit of Web3 that fundamentally wants to take out intermediaries out of systems. So that is also something what we don't do. So what we do is actually we're partnering up with events that are using Trilled for their networking. So basically by using Trilled, they don't have to use expensive options that are existing, that, you know, you never know what is happening with the data of your attendees. I'm not sure, probably you also go to Web3 events. Sometimes there's, you know, this app that you can download. You have to fill in all the information about yourself, if it's even existing. And then once you are at the venue, you can actually connect with people or do meetings and stuff like that. Well, we, I believe, have provided a better solution for that in Trilled, actually. And in this way, we're also partnering up with events. Next to that, we're also partnering up with accelerators, with VCs, with ecosystems, with any type of entity that offers something great for our community. So it can be a, you know, exposure for a grant program. It can be indeed a special discount code for an event, but we don't take a referral out of that. It can be, I don't know, an open access educational kind of partner. It really depends. Whatever is useful for our community, actually, those are our partners. And yeah, in terms of our team, that was your other question. There is mostly me. And then, of course, there is the, it's our, yeah, technically he functions as a fractional COO at this very moment. Arjan, he's also one of our key investors, actually. We also work with our strategic development partners who are based out of Germany and out of Europe mostly. We work with them very, very closely in developing the app. And then there's a range of interns, actually, who we work with on a daily basis, and they're located across the globe, all the way from South Korea to Nigeria, to Turkey, to Italy, and back to Spain, and indeed Europe again. And yeah, what the founder, I forgot, of course, to say that we also have a range of advisors. Of course, right, in the industry, there's always people who are more experienced, or who have specific skill sets that you're lacking as a founder, or as a, you know, whatever role you have in a C-suite. So it's always great to tap into the knowledge of people that you can trust. And that can provide you either with financial advice, or, you know, with ideas how to create a token, or, you know, making introductions to VCs, whatever it really is. So technical expertise is also, of course, very important. And then finally, the life of a founder. I think it sounds maybe very cool on LinkedIn. You see all these trips that I'm doing to events. But it's that's only the outside, right? On the inside, it's actually yeah, pretty hard work. It's been basically a year now that I work 7 days a week, without any breaks or holidays, just trying to make sure that this company, you know, will go well. Of course, as you know, a lot of these startups in this space fail, ultimately 80 to 90 to 95%. So just to prevent that, you have to work hard and hustle and be determined. So yeah, not really having a life is, I think, the biggest part of founder's life.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
agree
it, I would
on
say.
that. Yeah, I somehow relate to you as a head of marketing at a new startup in Qatar, though I'm not a founder, but I really see that sometimes you should really work 24/7 and work on developing something from scratch. But I think it's, at the end of the day, something really worth doing, because entrepreneur is a person a bit different from others, you know, from the beginning. Like, not it's not an easy task to carry out, especially if you're in Web3. So like startups in Web3, as you said, not all of them succeed, but I do believe that Thrilled Labs will be very good at this because I see all that dedication, and I felt from the first time that we met on the DLT program that you're really committed to your startup and you really live with your idea, which is a great thing, I think. So maybe with regard to this, probably someone from my community may ask, who is the what is the image of an ideal partner or ideal team member for Thrilled? Like, how do you really see people at Thrilled Labs, and how do they, how could they work for all your goals, you know, effectively and with dedication as much as you have? So maybe who is your ideal partner and ideal team member?
That is actually a very nice question. And I appreciate that because it asks fundamentally about the human, right? Of course, a partner can be an organization as well, but as you know, behind organizations, there's humans too. And that is actually one of the main things that I want to kind of improve, hopefully, with Thrilled itself. Like, business is conducted by humans, like even in the Web3 space, that is all about automation, about nodes interacting with one another, right? About systems, about layers. But still, the deals that are being made, the decisions that are being made are still humans, for a big extent, unless you have maybe a DAO in place that works like almost like automated, but still it's humans who initially set up everything, all the structures. Absolutely. Right? So I think that is extremely interesting. And yeah, anyway, I won't go into how I'm a systemic thinker and why, I set up indeed this focus on humans, blah, 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 because it becomes a bit too philosophical. But since your question is also about humans, what I really would like to look at when I consider potential partners, but also potential investors, by the way, and indeed also people joining the team, I don't necessarily look at what their background is or how much experience they have or don't have, or how well connected they are or not at all. I look more at who they are as human beings. Are they like curious? Are they self-reflective? Are they also critical, of things, or are they just yes sayers? Which is fine as well, but not necessarily something that I'm looking for. Fundamentally, what I think is what I really try to do when I speak with people is trying to uncover their values. So now, of course, you're asking me a lot of questions, right? And I'm answering and I'm talking a lot. But when I talk usually with people, like on a normal basis, I prefer to ask them the questions to understand a bit where people are coming from. Why are they doing the things that they're doing? Why are you setting up this startup? Why are you investing? What do you hope to achieve in life? And I try to find out if their values align with mine and with ours as a company. And based upon that kind of intuitive feeling, and of course, sometimes also strategic thinking, of course, there's some strategy involved sometimes, I kind of decide whether or not I want to collaborate with them. But yeah, of course, there's sometimes extremely well-connected people, but I prefer just to not go ahead because I don't have a good feeling about it. So I'm a bit picky in that regard.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, actually. So maybe I would also be interested in the events that you talked about. So what type of events would Thrilled Labs like to maybe create or sponsor or take part in? Like, what type of events would that be? Online, offline? What would they let's say add as value to Web3 industry? Is it some kind of a networking event, or maybe you would like to host conferences? A bit more on that, please.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think fundamentally, what we are looking at right now are mostly professional and when I say professional, I mean that it brings together the industry professionals. So not necessarily a community gathering, but more, let's say, an ETH Paris, or I don't know, a great BTC Amsterdam, or indeed the Crypto Assets Conference, or the European Blockchain Convention. Those are all, let's say, events that we try to partner up with, either as community or media partners, which just means that we, help to, kind of like promote their event to our community, just because we have a dedicated space on that for our app. But I do always ask something in return, for instance, free tickets, or let's say a discount code or any other type of perk. And then what I also try to do is partnering up with this event. So instead that they have to spend thousands of euros on Umbrella, for instance, this is this other event platform kind of that creates special apps for events. They cost thousands of euros, actually, these apps, and that gets reflected in your ticket price for nothing, because after the event you just throw the app from your phone and that's it. Your data goes, we don't know where, to the cloud somewhere, and that's it. Money spent, and that's it. So we try to partner up with these events as well, and ideally they're a bit bigger. I would say 500 to 1,000 to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 attendees. Really try to go with the big events for now, but also, of course, happy to partner up with something a bit more smaller. It doesn't wait. The thing is, of course, quantity is important, but fundamentally it's also about quality, right? Even a gathering of 20 people can be absolutely wonderful, and if they think they can, be helped with Thrilled, of course, happy to partner up with them as well.
Great. Which locations would you choose for that? Probably as within Europe, as also outside Europe. Are there any locations that you really target to host your events in?
Okay, so I forgot to tell you that, of course, it can be online events, but also offline events. So indeed, the latter in terms of location, that would be then offline events. Mostly we're looking now at Europe. But it can be any type of country at this point, as long as their attendees comprehend and are proficient in English, just because the app is at this moment only available in English. But I plan actually to launch the app in different languages as well, right? Because of course not the whole world communicates in English, even though it's dominant in the Web3 space. So for now, we're partnering up predominantly with European-based events. But Thrilled can also be used as a networking app for online events. So that is even something that is even less, I would say, commonplace these days. You're attending an online event, but there is not really a networking solution there at all. And we actually will also be able to provide that. So it can also be an online event, and it can be anywhere, actually. I really want to be agnostic in that space. A lot of investors are also asking, which markets do you target first, right? Which places do you want to how do they call that? Like, let's say, integrate in the market, or however the hell they're calling that. But I think Web3 is so decentralized and global. For me, it doesn't make super much sense to necessarily target market here, market there. We have to connect everyone.
Sure. Indeed, especially the core idea of Web3 is decentralization, which gives rights to everyone. So yeah, I think it's a very good initiative that you're working on. Maybe I could also ask about what makes you at Thrilled Labs stand out from the crowd. Maybe, like, I know there are some competitors in terms of events, in terms of networking. Maybe, like, in a couple of sentences, what makes you the best fit for your partners?
That is interesting. I think my clear answer would be that Thrilled is free and open access. We welcome everyone globally in the Web3 space. We're also the only solution out there who is specifically tailored to the Web3 space, in the sense that if you open our app, you see the verticals, you see all the settings. It's made for professionals in Web3. There's no other solution out there. Again, we're hybrid, so that is actually, you don't necessarily think about this immediately, but not all people have an iPhone, right? A lot of people also, especially in the global south, they actually use Android-based phones. And we also immediately launched our app for Android phones, just to be fully inclusive. And then, of course, we have the very fact that we can be used by events. But fundamentally, the idea is that people just download the app in general. So whatever it is that you're after, a job, partnerships, investments, maybe you're looking for an internship, maybe you just want to be on Thrilled to show your company to all the other professionals in our community. Whatever your professional rationale is, you can do that on Thrilled, and so can do the rest of the professional Web3 space. And there is not another solution out there. The final thing here that I would say is, of course, there are platforms for communication, mostly Twitter and LinkedIn. But again, they're either not tailored to the Web3 space, or they're extremely messy because they don't allow you to do a really, let's say, tailored approach and search. And you can only talk on Thrilled, and that is also really, really important, if you're both interested in one another. So we eliminate spam. No more unwanted chit chat in your inbox. No, it's what you need, and you're going to find that.
Extremely useful these days.
Yes, and then that's the final last thing. Of course, there's a lot of platforms out there that connect fundamentally also startups with investors. But if then there's a match and an investment comes out, usually they take also a cut out of the deal, right? A commission. And again, that is not something that we do. We just offer the platform for people to find each other, and boom, for the rest, you decide what you want to do. You don't have to marry one another. You can do immediately a massive investment. It's up to you. But we remain out of that. We leave it up to users. So the user agency is key. And that's, I believe, what makes us stand out there.
Okay, this is a very interesting conversation today. I think I'm really happy to have you as my first guest. So maybe a couple of more questions before I stop challenging you. So I think, what would be the monetization model for such an impacting startup? Because I think I already see some social impact, decreasing prices for tickets, not taking reference fees. Like, it's already a startup for good. So how would you otherwise monetize Thrilled Labs? Are you going to integrate some ads, or maybe if you could shed a little bit of light on that? Yeah.
Of course. I think in that regard, right, for now, and that is the really honest answer, for now, we're almost fully Web2 based. So I think if you would want to challenge us, like, people could say, oh, what are you doing with all that data? Are you going to sell it? No, of course we aren't. Actually, if you look at our terms and conditions that I wrote myself as a lawyer, you can see that we explicitly state that we won't sell any data, and that our data centers, or at least where our clouds are based, are also in Europe, in Germany, not with a big hyperscaler. And why am I mentioning that? Well, because at least in this way, you know that nothing happens with your data. So that is at least what we won't do. We will also keep Thrilled for always, as long as it's possible. And I think it can be for always free and open access. And then how we will monetize? Very simple. We would just integrate premium features that those who want them can pay for, either in fiat or crypto, and a couple of subscription-based tiers, again, with nice premium features that can help you in the app, ranging from not that much money to slightly more, but it will be always voluntarily, and always for those who can afford it. And fundamental, that is also quite important, is that I will make sure that even if you pay for Thrilled, that it doesn't impact your visibility on the app. So I really want to create this level playing field, that everyone has the same fair chances to be seen and to connect with the right people. On top of that, of course, there's a range of other options, including ads, including maybe even token gated premium features as well. There's really a lot of options. I'm not going to lay them all out on the table, just because I don't know if there's any competitors building something similar. And
watching our talk, yeah.
Maybe not, but I mean, we're not backed by a big VC, so it means that we cannot scale overnight. So I'm not going to put all my cards on the table. I will just say here this, that our offering, even if we're going to monetize at some point, probably next year, it will always remain ethical and transparent in how we're doing that. I fundamentally believe that a company for good can also actually be a capitalist and inclusive company, as long as you run it in a proper way. So yeah, that's quite important for me. Yeah,
incredible. I mean, I'm really honored to have such a caring founder, not only for her own startup, but also for the communities, for people, because, you know, people are the biggest asset nowadays. And I think I personally believe that everyone deserves equal rights in the 21st century. So I think Web3 could help move towards this big, really impactful goal. And maybe the last question would be, why Thrilled? How did you come up with the name, with the logo, and maybe a little bit of insights on your first idea from scratch on building your startup?
Oh, that is quite nice. So Thrilled, yeah, fundamentally Thrilled. I was just noticing that people so often share these things, right, in business. I'm thrilled to announce that I've landed this new job, or I'm thrilled to announce that this is. And then I thought, isn't that actually a nice name for a company that is trying to create growth and value in business? Labs, because I thought, okay, of course we start with the platform, but I have lots of different ideas for the future. All the way to education, to including retail, to including even, I don't know, maybe at some point an accelerator or a launch pad. So I thought, okay, we really have to add the labs to it, because this is just the start, the platform itself, right? So yes, thrilled. I thought immediately, I really like that name. I need to pick that. And with regards to the idea, well, fundamentally, as I said, a lot of things were over time coming together. Of course, how we just launched the platform approximately 8 weeks ago, you know, as this full-fledged like business solution, it was not immediately as how I imagined it's a year ago when I started thinking about what can I build. I fundamentally in the beginning was focusing more on the startup and investor dimension, but soon realized, no, we really have to encompass all the key actors in the Web3 space, because it's not only about money and about collaboration in that way. No, it's so much broader, right? How we want to bring the space together. It's about if we really want to create global inclusion in Web3. And yes, Web3 is inclusive, but entering in Web3 and doing business in Web3 is not always inclusive. And that is actually a huge paradox. So I thought, no, we actually have to be broader than that. And over time, I realized there were so many other issues, including with events, including with the fact that sometimes you're looking for something very, very specific and you cannot find that online. That refi project in South America, like it will take you 2 days to actually make a list of what is happening. No, so I thought we should bring everyone together, make everyone find each other in a tailored manner, and just grow from there, from a good heart, from good purposes. And yeah, a lot has happened over the last few months. I won't bother you with all the different steps.
Oh, no, you won't. It will be a pleasure to listen to all of them. It was really an awesome conversation. I'm thrilled to have you today on my series as my very first guest. So thank you very much, Alexandra, for dedicating your time. And I hope my very small but really interested and engaging community on LinkedIn finds this YouTube video useful, because just like you, I'm creating these YouTube series to educate people, the newcomers to Web3, or maybe people already with experience, just trying to meet new people, to network. So you can always follow my guests. Alexandra is on LinkedIn, and you know, who knows what type of collaborations and partnerships may arise just from from networking. So I think all I can say is I wish you a lot of good luck, and I already feel that Thrilled Labs will make its place in Web3, and looking forward to having you in upcoming series. Yeah, because my guests are always coming back. As I say, like it's not that I interview people for once and then like they disappear. No, you all are a part of my community, so you're always welcome. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for the kind invite, actually. And I would be indeed also thrilled to welcome you and all your community members on the platform for whatever reason. You're very much welcome to join, and I hope it will help you. That's the only thing we care about. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Have a great evening. Bye bye.